It came from her. Now you go to Mars. And on Cydonia, Mars, and remember Cydonia is just the sun, Sidon is just the son of Canaan. You see the Canaan star again, the biggest edifice ever seen anywhere in this solar system. This thing's almost 2 miles wide. It's about 1,500 feet tall. And you can see the resemblance here, the star of Sirius. And this shows you how far back this pentagram idea goes back. It's a cuneiform from 3,500 BC from Sumer. And another interesting thing about Cydonia on Mars, look where it's located. Prime meridian, 0, where you measure everything from. The standard, Cydonia can be also Canaan. This is where you measure Mars from, at least east and west. And lo and behold, the actual city complex that Hoagland has been talking about for so long, the place where 19.47 seems to show up over and over again, the place that seems to have intelligent design, it's located right on the 0 meridian. Now, how did that happen? Schiaparelli, back in the 1870s, was studying Mars. That prime meridian had already been set up. He was the guy that set this nomenclature over the top of it. He did this deliberately. He was steeped in the occult. You can look up history of him and biographies of him, and you'll find that he was also collaborating with Camille Flammarion and Percival Lowell. You go to seances, they would study the supernatural, and when Schiaparelli's eyesight gave out due to studying Mars so much through his telescope, and they weren't very good in his day, and mapping it, all these surface features are still used today. He wrote a book, a compendium on astronomy in the Old Testament. This is a celestial map from Ptolemy. You'll notice that he has put the prime meridian of this map, this is the entirety of it, right through this dog. Because that dog is actually where Sirius exists. He knows where to put the prime meridian of the celestial globe. Astrologers especially will put the prime meridian of the celestial globe at the first degree of Aries, only because of the precession of the equinoxes, and I can get into that later. It makes way more sense to put it right here where the brightest star is. That's how the ancient mariners understood the heavens to work. And if you look at it a little bit closer, you'll actually realize that out of the zodiac, the 12 symbols that we see on our ecliptic, the only 12 that the sun travels through as it goes, or the earth travels as it goes around the sun, and we sight the sun through every year through all these symbols, the 12 signs of the zodiac. Sirius belongs to Gemini. So this is where the prime meridian of the heavens will run, right through Gemini, right through the twins, and right through Sirius, according to Ptolemy, at least. Then here's the Gemini, Castor and Pollux, and where the prime meridian would run, if you're looking at them. And this is something that I find astounding. During the 4th of July, the sun actually rises on that prime meridian. And only on the 4th of July, from only this latitude, 33.33, you can actually have the sun rise to exactly 19.47 degrees, and Sirius will be perfectly on the horizon. Is that why this date is so important? It's a rhetorical question. I think so. Okay, this is just so you believe me. This is a program that I have. You can get them off the internet for a song, but here it is, Sirius on the horizon, and the sun at 19.47 degrees, the stamp of tetrahedral geometry, right in Gemini, right there. And then, of course, there's the altitude again. 19.5 is a round number of 19.47. I can't really get it to anything more narrow than that. And then, of course, Roswell, New Mexico, 33.33. Now, Roswell actually lies on 33.2, but this is where the crash site is, and I can actually adjust it with my program. And the actual glyph for Gemini, the shorthand glyph in astrology, is pillars. This is Gemini. And that is significant because now we actually can find out how the heavens, if the prime meridian of the heavens is where Gemini is, and Sirius, the pillars then connect the heavens to the earth in some way. And the Greeks explain it. In Homer's Odyssey, he says the Atlas, who was a Titan, the magician, knows the depths of all the seas, and he, no other, guards the tall pillars that keep the sky and the earth apart. And he uses the word pillars here, not pillar. Amazingly, the myth goes that Atlas was holding up the sky, and Perseus came and held the head of Medusa up to him because he wouldn't let him pass, and turned him into mountains. And you actually notice that the only Atlas mountains on our planet are perfectly on our zero meridian. And this is borne out here by some Greek lyric, a fragment from the Etymologicum Magnum. I love saying that. And here it is. This is how the heavens and the earth are connected. This is what the Watchers are trying to tell us. For some very specific reason. The prime meridian, the Atlas Mountains, the mythical Atlas holding the pillars, which are Gemini. Where Sirius is the brightest star. It's just fairly logical. Brightest star, prime meridian. Where heaven and earth meet, where time and space are measured. Even Albert Magnus, he's highly venerated in Catholic circles, said that all the powers of things below originate in the stars and constellations of the heavens. He's been canonized, actually. He was canonized in like 64 or something, kind of late. And here he's studying something here called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. This is where this comes from. This is a highly occult sort of study he was doing, but he did it under this idea of science. It's a broad general way of getting away with studying the occult back then. And he says the stars and constellations of the heavens are where these things originate, this power from heaven in some way. And all these powers are poured down into the things below by the first circle of the constellations, like I was talking about, the 12 of the zodiac, where we sight the sun. It's called the ecliptic. All the planets move along here. The sun moves along here. The orbit of the planets then are on this plane. So if you take the constellations then of the signs of the zodiac and lay them according to where the prime meridian will anchor them, here, Castor and Pollux at the twins, the pillars, this is how the rest of them look. This is how they're all arranged on the earth in this metaphorical, symbolic way. And this is a circular view of it. Here again, the pillars, Gemini, the star Sirius down here. The heaven-earth map. And this little ticket you can get if you go to the Royal Astronomy in Greenwich. And it says, I thought significantly, the center of time and space. Well, a being that has mastery over time and space is considered a deity, at least in antiquity. And here you have the prime meridian going through Greenwich here, going through England, and there's a location of that crop circle that I started out with, outside of Winchester. 4,983 miles to Roswell. So if you place Gemini, like the prime meridian of heavens is originating with Sirius, in this manner, you end up with the pillars, Gemini, and the dog in this sort of configuration. And lo and behold, these are exactly the same symbols that show up in Roman cosmology. You have the idea that their founding myth of these twins starting Rome, building Rome. And what they're actually saying here then is this is a religion of the cosmos. This is a religion that was given to them. They're trying to encrypt this information so that it could be understood by those who actually can read the symbols. This is how heaven connects to the earth. But what they're also saying is, these guys are from Mars, because their father was Mars. That connects Mars again in some way with this heavenly knowledge. And here you have Canaan, the canine, and you have the milk of knowledge feeding these guys.